You see, we spend our lives quite convinced that everything began somewhere, that there was a before and then there was a now, that once upon a time the universe switched on the lights and said, right, off you go. But what I want to ask you, and it's a question that will itch at your mind like a riddle whispered by eternity, is this: when did you begin? Most people will say, well, that's obvious. I began when I was born. But let's be honest, you don't remember that, do you? Someone had to tell you that you were born, show you the certificates, the photographs, the wrinkled baby face in the album. So in a rather curious way, your beginning is an article of faith. You take other people's word for it. Now let's push a little deeper. Suppose I ask, before you were born, where were you? You might laugh and say, nowhere, I didn't exist. But isn't that strange? You can't imagine not existing. Try it. Try to imagine what it was like before you were conceived. You'll find you can't do it, because every attempt you make to picture it, every blackness, every silence, is something you're aware of now. And awareness is precisely what you're trying to imagine away. So we get stuck in a marvelous paradox. The mind can't picture its own absence. Consciousness cannot conceive of a time when consciousness wasn't. And that should tell us something rather important. Perhaps you never really began at all. Think of it like this. When you listen to music, you don't hear it start from absolute silence and end in absolute nothing. The notes come out of something, the silence itself is part of the song. The pause between beats is as vital as the sound. In the same way, you didn't drop into the universe like an alien traveler. You unfolded from it. You are not a stranger here. You are the universe, expressing itself as a human for a little while. It's funny, isn't it, how we speak of coming into the world as if we were parachuted in. But in truth, we came out of it, just as the leaves come out of the tree and the waves come out of the sea. So to ask, when did you begin, is a bit like asking, when did the ocean start making waves? It didn't. It's what oceans do. And so the real mystery isn't birth at all. The real mystery is how the universe managed to convince you that you are separate from it, a little creature crawling about on the skin of a vast and indifferent cosmos. What a magnificent illusion. Because if you could see clearly, you'd realize that the Big Bang never really stopped. It's still going on, right now, as you. Every atom in your body was once the fire of a star. The hydrogen in your breath, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your heart, all forged in ancient furnaces, long before there was a thing called you. So tell me again, when did you begin? At birth? At conception? At the Big Bang? Or perhaps not at all? Because the question itself assumes there was ever a moment when you were not. Maybe there's only the great happening, this eternal unfolding where beginnings and endings are just convenient markers like chapters in a book that has no first page. So, when you ask, when did I begin? I would say you never began. You simply appeared as one of the universe's many faces, blinking for a brief, delightful moment, but made of the same stuff as everything else. And that realization that you are not an arrival but a continuation breaks the spell of time. It cracks open the illusion that life moves in a straight line from cradle to grave. Instead, it reveals what's been true all along. You are not a moment in time. You are the timeless one pretending to be momentary. Take that in. Let it roll around in your mind. You are the ancient, the eternal, the vast, just playing at being you for a while. And so, the question that began all this, when did you begin, falls away. Because what you are never started. And what never started can never end. We humans, you see, have this marvelous obsession with order. We love neat little rows of things, calendars, clocks, timetables, schedules. Everything must line up like obedient soldiers, marching from before to after. We call it time. We imagine it as a string stretching behind us and ahead of us, the past fading into the distance, the future hidden in the fog, and us, brave little creatures, marching steadily along the middle. But that's not how the universe sees it. Oh no. The universe isn't a timeline, it's a symphony. And you, my friend, are not marching through it. You're part of its music, a melody arising and dissolving in the eternal chord of now. You see, linear time is an invention of thought, a wonderful, useful fiction, like money or mathematics. It helps us keep appointments and bake bread. But it is not the way reality actually is, because in this moment, right here, everything that ever happened and everything that ever will is folded together like light in a prism. The present doesn't move. It's we who are spinning stories of movement around it. Think of a movie, reel, a long strip of still images. When the projector runs, the images flicker fast enough that you see motion, a narrative, a beginning and an end. But in truth, the film was never moving at all. Every frame existed at once. And so it is with your life. The past and the future are the same reel. You only ever see one frame at a time, illuminated by the light of consciousness. That light, your awareness, is what makes time appear to flow. Without it, there would be no past, no future, not even a present, just stillness. A stillness that doesn't need time because it contains it. But oh, how we cling to the idea of sequence. We say, I was born, I grew up, I will die. It makes a tidy story. Yet, have you ever noticed that you never actually experience the past or the future? When you remember, that's the present remembering. When you imagine, that's the present imagining. It's always now, perpetually, inescapably now. So perhaps time is not a river carrying us along, but a mirror we've mistaken for motion. And in that mirror, the mind loves to chase itself. Where have I been? Where am I going? Like a dog spinning after its own tail. The more we chase, the dizzier we become, until we forget that the circle was of our own making. Now, the physicists have begun to whisper what the mystics have sung for centuries, that the universe doesn't unfold in sequence. It happens all at once. Time may be an emergent property, a convenient illusion projected by consciousness to make sense of its own unfolding. Einstein himself once wrote that the distinction between past, present, and future is a stubbornly persistent illusion. What a beautiful phrase. Not a mistake, mind you, an illusion. The difference is that illusions are not lies, they are plays of perspective. Like watching waves roll over the sea, you can swear they're traveling, but the water isn't going anywhere. So perhaps time is not something through which you move, but something moving through you. The ticking of the clock, the rhythm of your breath, the rise and fall of thought, all of it is the heartbeat of the eternal, pretending to be a story. You might ask, but Alan, if everything is now, how do I plan for tomorrow? Ah, there's the trick. You can plan, of course, but don't believe in your plan, as if it were destiny. The map is not the territory. The calendar is not the cosmos. They're tools, not truths. Life is more like a jazz improvisation than a marching band. Each note gives birth to the next in spontaneous harmony, and time is the music's illusion of movement. When you try to pin it down, it disappears, because you were never meant to measure it, only to dance it. So let's stop imagining that life is a line we're trudging along towards some grand finale. It's a whirlpool, a spiral, a rhythm playing itself forever. Every heartbeat you've ever felt was the same beat pulsing through eternity, pretending to begin again. You aren't late. You aren't early. You are exactly where eternity wanted to hum its next tune. Right here, in the everlasting now, because there never was a straight line. There's only the curve of being, looping endlessly through itself, laughing softly at the thought that anything could begin or end. Now, If you followed me this far, you might have begun to suspect that this whole business of time is not quite as solid as we thought. The past, the future, they wobble like reflections in water. But what then is steady beneath all this shimmering motion? Consciousness, the awareness that knows there is motion, the watcher behind every scene, the silent witness behind every thought, the still point around which the universe spins its tale. You see, we've been raised to believe that consciousness lives inside us, trapped behind our eyes, sealed within a skull. But that's like saying the ocean is inside the wave. Nonsense. The wave is the ocean, expressing itself in a particular shape for a moment before folding back into the whole. Consciousness is not the tenant, it's the house. Not the actor, but the entire stage upon which the play of life unfolds. Every drama, every love affair, every triumph and tragedy happens upon that stage. Yet, curiously, the stage itself remains untouched. The fire burns on it, the rain soaks it, the actors cry and laugh and die, and still, the stage is just there, silent, open, unbothered. And that, my friends, is you. Not the character you're playing, not the anxious person, the clever person, the spiritual seeker, the doubter. Those are roles in a divine play. You are the space in which the play happens. Think of it like this. When you dream at night, your mind creates a world. Mountains, people, emotions, danger, beauty, and you believe it's all out there until you wake up and realize that it was you all along. Every face, every tree, every word in that dream was woven from your own mind. Now here's the great joke. What if waking life is no different? What if the universe you see around you, the stars, the strangers, the wars and weddings, are all movements within a single vast consciousness? Not yours or mine, but the consciousness, dreaming itself as you and me. So when you close your eyes and recall a memory, that sweet smell of summer grass when you were small, or your mother's voice calling you home, where is that memory happening? It's not happening back then. It's happening now, inside awareness, which means the past isn't something you left behind. It's something arising within you in this very instant. You can't step outside of awareness, just as you can't bite your own teeth. Awareness is the context in which all experience arises, the stage that allows the play to exist. And this changes everything, because it means you are never actually in the world. The world is in you. Imagine for a moment a mirror. The mirror doesn't control what appears in it. It doesn't cling to the image of a rose or try to reject the image of a storm. It reflects effortlessly, perfectly, without judgment. That's consciousness. It doesn't choose, it allows. It holds joy and sorrow in the same gentle light. And here's where the paradox gets delightful. The more we try to find this consciousness, the more it eludes us, because it's the one doing the looking. You can't turn around fast enough to see your own eyes. You can't grab hold of the seeing because you are the seeing. People come to me sometimes and say, "Alan, how do I find awareness?" And I laugh. It's like a fish asking, "Where's the ocean?" The very act of asking proves that you're already swimming in it. This is why the mystics say enlightenment isn't about gaining something new, it's about noticing what's been here all along. The quiet presence that's never left you, not for a single breath. It was there when you took your first step. It's here as you listen now. It'll be there long after this body dissolves into dust. Consciousness doesn't grow old, doesn't travel, doesn't vanish. It simply watches delighted as forms appear and fade like fireworks against the night sky. And the astonishing thing is this: when you stop chasing after experiences, when you drop the need to name, control, or own what arises, You begin to feel that you are not the person standing on the stage. You are the vast stillness in which the entire play is happening. And when that realization dawns, a great laughter bubbles up, because you finally see that all your striving to wake up was consciousness, pretending not to be awake, just for the sheer fun of waking up again. So, my dear friend, you are not a thing wandering through time. You are the space in which time appears. You are not the flame, you are the light in which the flame is seen. You are not the actor, you are the stage, infinite and unmoving, watching yourself play every role ever imagined. Let's travel, for a moment, to that place you think you came from, before you were born, before you had a name, before there were any eyes to open, any breath to take, any you to be. The mind tries to picture this. Of course, a dark void, a cosmic sleep, the empty theater before the play begins. But pay attention to what happens when you imagine nothing. You make an image of blackness, perhaps of silence, maybe even of drifting in space. Yet notice you are there, imagining it. The void, you see, is not absence at all. It's awareness pretending to be empty. You see, it's impossible to conceive of true nothingness, because every thought about nothing is something. Every image of absence arises as presence. And this is the grand clue that there was never a time when you were not. Before birth, there was not non-existence, there was potential. Like the silence before music, full of anticipation, waiting to become sound. And that silence, that stillness, is not in the past. It is here now, hidden behind every moment of your life, humming quietly beneath the noise of the mind. When you meditate, or when you drift into deep sleep, you touch it. That soundless interval, that gap where identity dissolves and the world pauses, it's the same place from which you once came. But you didn't really come from it. You are it, manifesting as form for a while. You were never dropped into this world like a stone into water. You arose from it, the way the ocean lifts itself into a wave. Birth was simply the moment the eternal decided to look at itself through your eyes. Now, religion tells beautiful stories about creation, how God formed the world, how souls descend from heaven into flesh. But consider another view. Creation is not a one-time event, it is happening always. Every moment, the universe recreates itself, and you are the pulse of that recreation. You are the Big Bang, still expanding, still expressing, still discovering its own reflection. So, before you were born, you were not waiting in a queue somewhere in the cosmic lobby. You were not sitting in the dark, twiddling your thumbs until the doctor shouted, "It's a boy!" No, you were here as the stars, as the oceans, as the rustle of leaves. You were breathing as the wind, shining as sunlight, dreaming yourself toward human form. And after birth, you didn't stop being that. You simply narrowed the beam, like sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. You focused into one bright point called me. The universal awareness became local, for the thrill of playing pretend. That's what we are, localizations of the infinite. The one turning into the many, so it can taste itself from countless angles. But the one never left. The silence before birth is the same silence between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths. It's not somewhere you go, it's what's already holding you. When you sit quietly and the chatter subsides, you may begin to feel it. That vast, velvety emptiness, not frightening but warm, familiar, like an ancient home you forgot you owned. It's the womb that never closed, the space in which all things are born and to which all things return. And if you really listen to that silence, you'll notice something peculiar. It isn't dead stillness. It vibrates. It shimmers. It feels alive. Because it is life. Life before it remembers its own name. This is why, in the deepest meditation, people don't experience blankness but fullness, an overflowing peace, a radiant nothing. That's the soundless interval. It's what you touched before birth, and what you will touch again when this form dissolves. So don't be afraid of death. You've already practiced it every night when you fall asleep. You vanish, the world disappears, and yet you return. And each time you do, life feels refreshed, renewed, born again. Before you were born, you rested in eternity's quiet, and that same eternity still hums beneath your heartbeat now. It never went anywhere. It's what's listening through your ears as these words pass. You have never been outside it, not for a moment. The silence before birth was not a beginning, it was a pause in the dance. And now, as the music plays again, you sway to it thinking, here I am, alive. But the silence smiles, because it knows you never stopped being it. And so, before you were born, you were not nothing. You were everything, waiting for one more chance to sing. Let's imagine something marvelous for a moment, that what you call you is not confined to this little blink of existence between one sunrise and another. That the boundaries you feel between your life and the rest of history are as thin and transparent as the surface of a bubble on the sea. The physicists have a word for it: entanglement. They discovered, to their astonishment, that when two particles share a connection, that link doesn't fade with distance or time. Change one here, and the other dances instantly, even if it's light years away. They're not really two at all, they're one system, appearing as 2 points of view. Now, what if consciousness works the same way? What if you and I and everyone who has ever breathed or dreamed are not separate centers, but entangled expressions of the same awareness, shimmering across centuries like a single golden thread woven through different tapestries? You see, when you look at an old photograph, your grandmother's smile, a pharaoh's carving, a cave painting, something stirs in you, a flicker of recognition, a whisper that says, I remember. And you might shrug it off as imagination, but perhaps it's not imagination at all. Perhaps it's the universe recognizing its own reflection across time. Alan used to say that we are the ancestral mind peeking through new disguises, that life is the same old actor playing an endless series of roles, dying behind one mask only to reappear behind another. The costume changes, the script evolves, but the awareness on stage, that's eternal. Consider for a moment that the breath you draw right now contains molecules once exhaled by every being who ever lived. Buddha, Cleopatra, a forgotten farmer on some ancient hillside. You are literally breathing the memory of the world. Entanglement is not theory, it's your lungs. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you sometimes feel nostalgia for places you've never been, or sadness for times you never lived through. The wave remembers the ocean. Every experience is echoed in the fabric of awareness itself. When a mother comforts her child, when an artist paints a sunrise, when a scientist gazes into a microscope, these are not isolated events. They are the same consciousness touching itself in 1,000 different ways, across eons, across dimensions. The truth is that we've never been divided. Time only makes it seem that way. From the timeless view, your future self and your ancient ancestor are both happening now. They're two hands of the same body clapping together in eternity. And so, the kindness you show today ripples not just forward but backward, into the very roots of being. Every loving act rewrites the whole story, past and future, because the story was never linear to begin with. When you smile at a stranger on the street, the gesture doesn't just cheer one moment, it heals centuries. The universe rearranges itself around that act. Because love, too, is a kind of quantum entanglement, the recognition of yourself in another form. So when you ask, was I here before? The answer is both yes and no. You were here not as a particular name or face, but as this boundless awareness, forever exploring itself. You have been the dancer and the dance, the flame and the moth, the storyteller and the story. And you'll keep appearing again and again, not out of compulsion but delight, because what else could infinity do on a quiet afternoon but play? So the next time you feel alone in time, remember this: you are not one note lost in the score. You are the whole symphony, sounding itself through countless instruments. And when one instrument falls silent, the music doesn't stop, it continues. Because it was never coming from the instrument, but through it. Entanglement means this: there are no separate players in the cosmic game. Only the universe, looking at itself through billions of eyes, laughing softly at the idea that it was ever divided. Ah, yes, the next riddle. Do I have free will? It's the question that keeps philosophers up at night, that makes theologians sweat and scientists squint at equations. Do you steer the ship of your life, or are you merely watching it sail? Well, let's poke this question gently, as one might a sleeping cat. Because whenever you say, I choose, who is this I doing the choosing? When you decide to move your hand, where did that impulse come from? You didn't summon it deliberately, did you? It arose, like a bubble from the deep, like laughter that bursts out before you can stop it. If you watch closely, you'll find that every thought, every intention, every action simply happens. You don't command it, you notice it. Life moves and you say, I moved. Now, this can sound horrifying at first. What do you mean I'm not in control? But that's only frightening if you believe there's someone separate who needs to be in charge. The one you call the controller is a phantom the mind conjures after the fact, like a narrator dubbing over a movie that was already filmed. Watch how thought claims ownership. A thought appears, I should stand up. You stand up. Then the mind says, see, I did that. But you didn't plan the thought itself, did you? You don't sit there engineering each one like a factory manager. They flow in like weather, unbidden, unpredictable. So what if free will and determinism are both illusions born from the same misunderstanding, the idea of separation? You see, if you believe you're a lonely little ego trapped in a bag of skin, then yes, you'll feel caught between two impossible stories. Either you're a puppet of fate, or you're the captain of the cosmos. But once you realize there's no boundary between you and the universe, the paradox dissolves. Because then you see it's not that you don't have control, it's that there was never anyone else to control you. The entire universe is moving as one grand happening. And you are a particular pattern in that flow, as inseparable from it as a whirlpool from the river. Does the whirlpool choose its shape? Does the wave choose to rise or fall? No, and yet it moves perfectly, beautifully, without hesitation. Its movement is effortless because it is the movement. And that, dear friend, is the secret of free will. You are the universe choosing as you. When you breathe, when you laugh, when you fall in love, that is the cosmos delighting in its own rhythm. There's no conflict there, no coercion, no submission, only the great dance of spontaneity. You see, freedom doesn't mean forcing the world to obey your will. It means realizing that your will and the world's motion are not two things. When you understand this, even surrender is no longer surrender, it's participation. This is why the Taoists say, the sage does nothing, yet nothing is left undone. It sounds strange until you live it. Then you realize that doing nothing doesn't mean sitting like a lump of stone. It means acting without friction, without the anxious sense that you're the one pulling the strings. Have you ever had a moment when life simply flowed, when the right words came effortlessly, when the music played itself through your hands, when you looked up and thought, I wasn't even trying? That's it. That's the taste of freedom. That's the moment when the dancer disappears and only the dance remains. The great paradox is that control is an illusion, and yet, once you stop trying to control, everything moves with perfect order. The more you let go, the more you find that life was steering itself all along. So, the next time you feel caught between choice and destiny, Try this experiment. Stop deciding. Just for a breath. Watch how the body still moves, how the heart still beats, how the thoughts still appear. You are not running this show, and yet it runs beautifully. That's not imprisonment, that's grace. The rain doesn't choose where to fall, but it nourishes the world. The flower doesn't command itself to bloom, but it does in perfect time. And you're the same. The universe, blooming in human form, pretending to decide which way to lean toward the sun. When you see that clearly, you can finally relax. You can laugh at the grand illusion of control, because you realize that the one who thought he was steering was the ocean trying to push a wave. You were never separate. You were never trapped. You are freedom itself, flowing as form, pretending to be a person, asking whether it's free. And when you know that, really know it, then you can stop asking the question. You can just breathe and let the universe live as you. So then, we arrive at one of the strangest discoveries of all, that what we call time is not a river we float along, but a mirror in which consciousness catches its own reflection. Look closely at memory. What is it? A flicker, an image, a whisper in the mind that says, this happened before. But before when? You only ever remember something now. You never wander into the past. You conjure it, right here, this very instant. The memory is not an echo from some ancient chamber. It is a painting drawn anew upon the canvas of the present moment. And the same is true of the future. Every hope, every fear, every grand plan is imagined now. You don't ever leave the present to visit tomorrow. Tomorrow is a dream you project on the mirror of this moment. So what is this mirror made of? Awareness. Pure, lucid awareness that reflects whatever passes before it. Past, future, desire, regret, and yet remains itself unchanged. You might think you are moving through time, but it is time that moves through you, like clouds across the open sky. When you were a child, you thought the sun moved across the heavens, rising and setting, chasing you from morning to night. Later you discovered that it was you, or rather, the earth beneath your feet, that was turning. And in the same way, we imagine ourselves traveling through time, while all along it is the turning of consciousness that makes the illusion of movement. Now, here's the cosmic joke. Every past life, every possible future, every dream, every ancestor and descendant are all happening now, stacked like reflections in a hall of mirrors, all glinting in the light of the same awareness. When you gaze into a mirror, you see an image appear, and if you place another mirror behind you, you see infinite copies of yourself receding into forever. But notice they are all reflections of one thing, one presence, endlessly refracted. That's time. The illusion of sequence created by the self, gazing upon itself from endless angles. And when you begin to see this, something beautiful happens. The weight of the past starts to lift. You realize that your history, your mistakes, your traumas, they aren't chains dragging behind you. They are ripples on the surface of the present. You can watch them shimmer, then fade, and the water is still. Likewise, the future stops being a wall of anxiety looming ahead. It becomes possibility, an open field already contained within you, because whatever will happen, happens in this same awareness. You see, the mind tries to use time as a way to make sense of change. But change doesn't require time, it only requires perception. The flower doesn't know it's growing, it simply is. The butterfly doesn't mark calendars for metamorphosis, it simply unfolds. And you are the same. You are the unfolding of eternity, watching itself change shape, while never leaving the stillness that allows it all to happen. So time is not a thing moving independently of you. It is the shimmering play of reflections between what changes and what doesn't. The form dances, the formless observes. The river flows, but the water in essence remains water. That's why, when you touch the deepest quiet within yourself, everything slows, sometimes even stops, because in that moment, the mirrors fall still, and the reflections vanish into the awareness that holds them. That stillness is not a point in time, it is before time. The eternal observer, watching the rise and fall of its own images, never fooled, but forever fascinated. So when you find yourself haunted by memory, or trapped in anticipation, remember, you're only watching reflections in your own mirror. Let them shimmer and pass. Don't polish the mirror, don't judge what it shows. Just see it for what it is, consciousness admiring its own artistry. And perhaps, just for a laugh, you'll realize that the one looking into the mirror and the reflection being looked at have never been two. There was only ever the light aware of itself, pretending to be divided by time. So, step gently. Each moment you call now is the whole of eternity pretending to be brief. Every second is infinity wearing a disguise, saying, "Peek-a-boo!" And you, dear friend, are the mirror, clear, boundless, eternal, upon which the play of time dances its fleeting steps. Now, let's wander into one of humanity's oldest fascinations, reincarnation. A grand idea, isn't it? That when this life ends, you'll pop up again somewhere else, perhaps as a monk, a queen, a wandering cat, or a child laughing in another century. It's a comforting thought. But have you ever noticed that when people talk about reincarnation, they almost always imagine that they, their precious personality, their collection of habits and hopes, will be the one returning? Ah, but that's the ego's favorite disguise, immortality by repetition. Yet the universe, my dear friend, is far more subtle and far more humorous than that. See, reincarnation isn't a cosmic bureaucracy with souls lining up to receive new passports and bodies. It's not a celestial factory reassigning identities like actors changing costumes between acts. No, it's much simpler and infinitely more mysterious. It is life itself reincarnating, not someone coming back, but something, the great process, the eternal play. You are not a drop returning again and again to the sea. You are the sea, rising again and again as a drop. Every time a baby cries its first cry, every time a flower opens at dawn, every time a thought arises in the vast stillness, that's reincarnation. The universe turning itself inside out once more, saying, "Here I am again." And so the story of you, this person, this name, this face, is just a single verse in an endless poem. When the verse is sung, it dissolves back into the silence between lines. Then another verse begins different words, same song. The Hindus call this Leela, the divine play, the one acting as the many, pretending to be bound by beginnings and endings, birth and death, just for the joy of rediscovering itself. So yes, in one sense you will be reborn, but not as you, rather as everything, as the breeze over a mountain you've never seen, as the hand of a stranger helping another up, as the laughter of a child who doesn't even know your name. And perhaps if consciousness wants a little mischief, you might even appear again as someone listening to these very words and feel that strange déjà vu, that sudden shiver that says, "I've heard this before." That's the cosmic joke, that eternity keeps pretending to start over, but it never actually begins. The universe keeps saying, "Once upon a time, when there was never a time to begin with." You see, reincarnation is happening right now. Every breath you take dies and is born again as the next. Every heartbeat, every blink, every thought, a miniature death and resurrection. You are being reincarnated hundreds of times each minute, only you've been too busy counting to notice. And when this particular body stops, when the mask drops, the play doesn't end. It simply changes scene. The spotlight moves, the curtain shimmers, the audience gasps, and the same actor, the great self, steps forward in a new costume, pretending to forget the last. That's why the mystics laugh at death. They know the punchline: nobody goes anywhere. Life doesn't leave. It simply folds itself back into its own fabric and emerges again, fresh, curious, divine. So don't worry about where you'll go when you die. You'll go exactly where you've always been here. Only the scenery will change. When the wave falls back, it doesn't disappear into nothing. It becomes the ocean once more, ready to rise again. The dance never ends, it only changes rhythm. And in the end, what you call reincarnation is just the universe remembering its favorite joke, that the one who is born, dies, and is born again, was never a who at all. It was the whole thing, the eternal masquerade, hiding behind the mask of you. So laugh with it. Don't cling to the mask. Don't mourn its falling away. The play is too vast for grief. You were never meant to own a role forever. You were meant to play it beautifully and then bow, smile, and let the next act begin. And when the curtain rises again, you look out through new eyes and wonder, haven't I been here before? Yes, you have. But this time, you might just remember the joke. So then, we come to the simplest and most impossible question. What shall we do about all this? And the answer, you see, is wonderfully frustrating. Nothing at all, because you don't need to do anything to be what you already are. All your life you've been chasing the future like a dog chasing its tail, trying to catch happiness, enlightenment, salvation, as if they were somewhere ahead of you in time. But eternity doesn't run on a clock. The secret isn't found by running faster. It's discovered when you stop running entirely. You have never left the eternal moment. You've only imagined that you did. So the practice, if we must use that word, is really the art of remembering what has never been forgotten. Sit quietly, if you wish. Not to escape, not to control the mind, but simply to notice. Notice that behind every sound, every thought, every heartbeat, there is an unbroken stillness. You don't have to create it. It's always there, the same silence that held you before birth, the same presence that will cradle you after death. And as you notice it, you begin to realize something extraordinary, that silence isn't blank, it's alive, it breathes, it listens. It's the awareness through which every sound, every sight, every sensation appears. If you rest in that awareness, even for a moment, the whole idea of time softens. The past, the future, the anxieties, the regrets, they lose their teeth. You see them for what they are. Ripples in a pond that was never disturbed. Try it. Right now. Take a breath. Feel the inhale. Feel the exhale. Notice that you didn't plan it. Life is breathing you. The universe is happening as you. And if you listen closely to that breath, you will hear the faint hum of something eternal. The same hum that moves the galaxies, that opens the flowers, that sings the oceans into being. That's you, not the character, not the name, but the life behind the mask. This is what the mystics mean when they say, "Be still and know that I am God." It doesn't mean believe in a deity sitting somewhere outside of you. It means notice that the awareness looking out of your eyes is the same awareness that looked out of every pair of eyes that ever existed. One consciousness pretending to be billions. When you truly see that, compassion blossoms effortlessly. Because how could you harm another when there are no others? How could you grasp or hate or fear when everything that arises is yourself playing another part? That's why the sages laugh. They're not laughing at life, they're laughing with it. Because the grand cosmic joke is that there was never a problem to solve, never a soul to save, never a moment when you were not whole. All this striving to reach enlightenment is like the ocean searching for water. And the moment you stop searching, you realize you've been swimming in it all along. The practice of timeless awareness, then, is no practice at all. It's simply relaxing into what's already true. To see that the present moment is not a fleeting point between past and future, but the eternal foundation upon which all things dance. So take another breath. Let it come. Let it go. The same stillness that was there before the stars were born is breathing you now. You don't have to name it, or understand it, or hold on to it. Just notice it, that open space, that gentle hum, that radiant silence behind everything. That's where you were before you were born. That's where you'll be when this story ends. And that's where you are right now. And if you really see that not as an idea, but as a felt truth, you might find yourself smiling for no reason at all. Because the cosmic dance goes on, and you are the dance. Pretending to be the dancer, pretending to look for the rhythm you've never lost. So let the dance continue. Don't try to lead it. Don't try to follow it. Just move, effortlessly, as it moves. Because eternity has always been doing this, and you are its favorite step. And when you laugh, truly laugh, you'll hear it echo through the stars. That's the sound of the universe recognizing itself. That's the sound of you waking up.